Thank you, thank you. The following is one of my voiceover demos. If you're a voiceover artist and you would like to advertise one of your demos on my podcast, please send an MP3 to thedrill12, all one word, at gmail.com. That's thedrill12 at gmail.com. Back in a minute.
Americans love scenery. We want to see it all, from one coast to the next, Mount Rushmore down to the Everglades. So hop into a Chevy Malibu and take the scenic route. It's the car you knew America could build. There's a place where people count on friendships they can trace back generations, where they can count on the same stool at the coffee shop waiting for them every morning. This place is called Glen Ellen, and you can find it in every bottle of Glen Ellen wine. This is craft brewed Herman Joseph's, the smoothest, easiest drinking specialty beer in the entire solar system. And I believe you'll find drinkable in the dictionary right after don't order a beer you can't drink. Zoingo! Boingo! The freestyle pogo with more boing, more bounce. Bounce further, bounce higher with Zoingo Boingo. To see what makes Arrowhead Mountain Spring water different from those other waters, you have to go back to the source. And with Arrowhead, that means going back a little farther and longer than most. Between security challenged and security strengthened, there's one important word: how. And it is the how that makes all the difference to our nation and our world. Lockheed Martin. We never forget who we're working for. What makes Kraft singles so good? 2 out of every 3 kids don't get the recommended amount of calcium. But with Kraft singles, they get a good source of calcium and the taste they love. Kraft singles. Magic every single time. Throw boring overboard with a new real meal from Long John Silver's. A meal worthy of a plate, just $4.99. Only at Long John Silver's. We may not all be geniuses, but we can all do something smart. Introducing the Hyundai 199 Sonata lease. It's a smart deal on a really smart car.
You remember you was little, you see your teacher out in public, you freak out. You're like, Mr. Barron, what you doing out here with shorts on? Why you got your ankles out? What the fuck you doing? Oh, I'm just going to the beach. No, you live in school. I ain't never seen you outside. What you doing outside? Never thought they had their own life. When I was little, man, I thought my teacher at the end of the day just go back into the cubby and recharge. All right, it's 8:30. How you doing, class?
Good morning. It's Tuesday, Trump Tuesday, September the 17th, and this is The True Conservative. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host, and the only true conservative in the United States today. So today, after the Serenity Prayer and the patriotic song of the day, we will have the patriotic shorts, motivation, Bishop Barron, Ayn Rand, the 33 strategies of war, and Donald Trump. All that and more when I get back. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I should not change, the courage to change the things I should, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen.
Ships on vigor of the waves are skimming barren summits to the verdant plains. Each horizon is a new beginning. Rise and reign. Far from the fjords and the ice-cold currents, raven soar over new frontiers. Songs and sagas of a fate determined, shields and spears.
Thank you. Now, Barney and Company.
Right now, Barney and Company picks it up. Stu, take it away.
Oh, we'll take it. Good morning, Maria, and good morning, everyone. Yeah, the stock market rally continues. 160 million people have a stake in this wealth creation machine. Looks good, doesn't it? Seems like the stars are aligned. The Fed is lowering interest rates for the first time in 4 years. Retail sales up only 0.1%. Now, okay, these are preliminary numbers, subject to revision. A decline had been expected. Nonetheless, the Dow Industrials at this moment up over 100 points. The Nasdaq up over 130 points. The rally continues. Treasury yields, they're rising just a little. We have the 10-year coming in at 363. That's up, 1.6 basis points. And the 2-year, we have that at 358, still shy of 360. Gold enjoying record levels with lower interest rates, looking at 26.04 per ounce, slightly below the record high. Bitcoin rallying 59,300. The Trump family starting a crypto banking platform. It's called World Liberty Financial. 3 sons, Don Jr., Eric, and Barron, will have a 20% stake. Oil hovering right around $70 a barrel. Gas down to $3.20 a gallon on average, and there are still 11 states under $3. Diesel just under $3.60 a gallon. All right, politics. Many questions surrounding the second assassination attempt. How come the potential assassin staked out Trump's golf course for 12 hours? Did you know he was going to be there? And should the former president now get the kind of protection offered to a sitting president? What role did Trump-hating rhetoric play in all of this? Hillary Clinton has just called him a dangerous man who should be stopped. Trump himself has spoken about what happened. He said, "We heard shots. The Secret Service knew immediately it was bullets and they grabbed me." Trump will hold a rally in Nassau County next to New York later this week. 25,000 expected to attend. On Thursday of this week, Kamala Harris will be interviewed by Oprah Winfrey in what's described as a live stream 2-hour event with a small in-person audience. On the show today, A Tale of Two Cities. I just returned from my first visit to London in 30 years. That city is clean, efficient, and non-threatening. I came back to New York, which is none of the above. It is Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. Varney and Company is about to begin.
And that was Varney and Company. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, guns.
What's going on, guys? So today we're going to do some shooting with the Smith & Wesson Model 10-10 in 38 Special. This was a law enforcement trade-in gun that I picked up years ago. As you can see, it was once owned by the CDC. Model 10's got the heavy barrel, low-profile ramp front sight, the trough rear sight. And let's do some shooting, man.
And that was guns. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now the military short.
It can silently glide through the depths of the ocean, run for 25 years without refueling on a lump of uranium the size of a fist. And producing oxygen from the very thing it's traveling in means it can stay submerged indefinitely. The USS Pennsylvania is the most lethal weapon ever designed, an apocalypse machine capable of devastating entire continents. It carries 48 torpedoes and 24 Trident nuclear missiles, more destructive than all the bombs dropped in both world wars combined. An optic fiber spooling out of the back allows the torpedo to be steered towards the target. As the torpedo closes, its onboard sensors lock on and guide it in for the kill. To launch a missile, the Pennsylvania uses a small rocket fired into a tank of water. The water superheats and instantly turns to steam. This column of steam propels the missile with enough momentum to cut through tens of meters of water. It ignites above the surface of the water and travels at hypersonic speeds of 13,000 miles per hour.
Thank you. And now, a little bit of motivation.
What would it cost you if you quit now? What would it cost you if you stop fighting? We all have those moments when we want to quit, when we want to throw in the towel, where we don't see the end game and the target is not clear. I know you think it's over, but you got to go again. Leave every excuse behind. You can't quit. You got more left in you. You are not a quitter. You are not a one-hit wonder. You are called to do something great. Try harder, reach higher, run faster, stand taller. It is the man that refuses to quit. It is the man that refuses to put down his gloves that separates winners from wannabes. It doesn't matter how broken, how weary and devastated you are right now. That pain will not last forever. I don't want to win one time. I don't want to be noticed one time. I don't want to make history one time. I want to do it over and over and over again. Do it again, no matter how hard it was, no matter how much you cried and you sweat and you bled. Do it again. Because in the end, it will be worth it. Someday, at some point in your life, you're going to be able to look back and say, man, I'm so glad I didn't quit. I need you to wake up in this new day, in this moment, and seize the opportunity. You are alive for a reason. Don't let anybody tell you you don't have what it takes. There is more left in your tank. It's your time. It's your turn. You've doubted yourself long enough. People have left you, overlooked you, undervalued you, underpaid you. It's your time to connect. It's your time to get paid. It's your time to sign the deal. It's your time. If you're going to be fully persuaded about anything, persuade yourself to keep going. And the more that you influence you will influence the world. So keep going, because it's all worth it in the end. Do it again. It is the man that comes back round after round that may have taken a beating physically, but he is not broken mentally, that comes back round after round after round after round. And he goes back into the dark room and he puts the work and he comes back out into the light and he puts on a show. Put on a show. Will you put in the work? Will you stay the course? Will you try it again? You were either going back or you were going forward. The reason why you didn't win is because you gave up too soon. Everybody wants a comeback, but nobody wants a setback. You can't have a comeback without a setback. There is a warrior inside of you that will emerge. There is a person that refuses to lose that will be birthed out of a setback. You are going to experience loss. You are going to have seasons in your life where you're not going to understand why and how you got where you are. So you got this. There's more left in that tank. Keep striving. There's always another way, another approach, a different perspective, another angle that you can try, not just harder, but you can try differently. Whatever the goal is, it's time to shatter the ceiling above your head, to break records, to shatter the status quo, to punch through targets. It's your time. I don't know what your dream is, but if you write it down and you put the work in and you beat on your craft and you give it everything you have and you give yourself to your work, at some point, everything's going to begin to shift and change because you refuse to quit. No matter how many times I've faced this giant, I am surrounded by walls 100 times taller than me. They gotta fall down because I have made winning a habit. Continue on marching forward. Do not give up. I don't care how many times you have lost. I don't care how many people have counted you out. I don't care how many times you talked yourself out of it. You are breathing to win. You are breathing to live a life of abundance. Run on the field again. Step into the arena again. Try it one more time. And after you do that, you're going to come back for more. Go back and win. Let me tell you something you already know. There are enough people who have not believed in you. There are enough people who have walked away from you. There are enough people who told you you don't have what it takes. You don't measure up. You will not finish. There are enough people that are counting you out. There are enough people that are saying you can't finish. Do not join them. A warrior only needs one more opportunity to reveal to the world that he is more than just a dreamer. I don't care what the scoreboard says. You have an opportunity to shock the world. It is in our nature to be very disempowering, pessimistic, negative people. Sometimes we just don't feel like moving forward. But I need you to know that there are people who are depending on you. There are people that believe in you. There are people that are rooting for you, and they are expecting you to win. With each day that is presented to you, you have an opportunity to change everything. And all you have is all you need. Win again. Punch through again. You gotta get out of this trying mentality. I'm gonna try, I'm gonna give it a try. I will break out of the I'm gonna try. I'll try to smile. I'll try to be happy. I'll try to make it a good day. I will smile. I will make it a good day. I will win again. I will bring my A game again. I will give it everything I have again. This mentality, this approach to living is what builds the bridges to the future. This is how we cement our legacy, by being a person that gives again, believes again, does it again, picks up the pieces and tries to put the puzzle together again, try it again, and eventually winning will become a habit. So keep going until you have won some small victory for humanity.
And that was a little bit of motivation. Thank you. And now, meditation. And that was meditation. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, the Daily Stoic.
Don't trust the senses. Heraclitus called self-deception an awful disease and eyesight a lying sense. Diogenes Laertius, Lives of the Eminent Philosophers, 9.7. Self-awareness is the ability to objectively evaluate the self. It's the ability to question our own instincts, patterns, and assumptions. Oesis, self-deception, or arrogant and unchallenged opinion, requires that we hold all our opinions up to hard scrutiny. Even our eyes deceive us. On the other hand, that's alarming. I can't even trust my own senses? Sure, you could think about it that way, or you could take it another way. Because our senses are often wrong, our emotions overly alarmed, our projections overly optimistic, we're better off not rushing into conclusions about anything. We can take a beat with everything we do and become aware of everything that's going on so we can make the right decision.
And that was the Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, Bishop Robert Barron.
Why is there so much evil in the world? May I say this? That's a very serious argument against God's existence. God is described as the infinitely good. If there's infinite heat, there'd be no cold, right? Then how come there's evil? Wouldn't the infinite good have simply eliminated evil? Thomas Aquinas typically describes God as an artist. What's his canvas? All of space and all of time. We see a little tiny corner of God's canvas. What's he making? He's making something beautiful. Now, beautiful paintings, sculptures, novels, beautiful films involve typically a play of dark and light. It's the rhythm between dark and light that often makes the play or the movie or the painting powerful. God, in his great work of art, permits evil so as to bring about a greater good, so as to produce a more beautiful canvas. At the end of time, when we're in heaven, we will see all of creation like a great book. It'll make coherent sense. But in the course of this life, what do we see? Maybe one part of one paragraph of the whole story. And that's why so often the world as we experience it doesn't make sense.
And that was Bishop Robert Barron. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now the Ayn Rand thought of the day. Quote, capitalism has been called cruel, yet it brought such hope, progress, and general goodwill that the young people of today who have not seen it find it hard to believe, unquote. That was Ayn Rand, Global Balkanization, from the book The Voice of Reason. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, the 33 Strategies of War.
Huang Di's most notable heir, we are told, was Di Yao, a gentleman who naturally and without effort embraced reverence, courteousness, and intelligence. Nevertheless, during his reign, the deluge, mythology's universal symbol of enemy, threatened to inundate the land. Thus it fell upon him to appoint a successor to preserve the order of his own son. Di Yao chose the most qualified man for the job, the venerable Shun, who had in various tests already demonstrated a capacity to harmonize human affairs through righteousness. Shun, in turn, selected Yu, the sage, to engineer an end to the flood. Because Yu refused wine and always acted appropriately, moving with and not resisting nature, the way of heaven, Tian Dao, was revealed to him. He subsequently harnessed the river waters not by fighting against them with a dam, but by yielding to them and clearing for them a wider channel within which to run. Were it not for you, so the story goes, who herein personified the wisdom of both Confucius and Lao Tzu, the Taoist prophet, we would all be fish.
And that was the 33 Strategies of War. Back in a minute. Thank you. So if you're a Democrat, you should vote Republican because there are things that don't disappear. Violence is one of them. Modernity is not distinguished by an aversion to violence. Violence is simply protean. It varies its outward form according to the social constellation at hand. Today, it is shifting from the visible to the invisible, from the frontal to the viral, from brute force to mediated force, from the real to the virtual, from the physical to the psychological, from the negative to the positive, withdrawing into the subcutaneous, subcommunicative, capillary, and neuronal space, creating the false impression that it has disappeared. Back in a minute. Thank you. So I wanted to respond to Bishop Barron's answer to the question, why does evil exist? The question, why does evil exist, is a question asked by atheists, and it's not a good faith question. They don't care. What they're trying to do is to demoralize Christians with that question. The proper response, as we know they're not acting in good faith, is not to go ahead and explain, as the bishop has done, about how this is a little piece of the canvas and all that. What we need to do is, when they say, why is there evil in the world? The proper response is, who cares? Because the idea is that the atheist has the burden of proof. The atheist cannot win if they have to bear the burden of proof. They can't win. There's no possible way they can, because they have to prove a negative. They have to prove that God does not exist. Since they can't do that, and they know they can't do that, they have to resort to various types of tricks. And their main trick is to start from scratch. In other words, to presume that we have a vacuum. And then we have to decide whether or not God exists. Wrong. God is the status quo. Human beings have worshipped God or gods since the beginning, since they came onto this earth. So God is the status quo. That means that if you want to come, and atheism is relatively recent. Hundreds, thousands of years ago, there was no such thing as atheism. Nobody was an atheist. Everybody believed in some sort of gods, usually. The Greeks had their gods, the Romans had their gods, etc. So everybody was religious. There was no atheism. Atheism is a modern concoction or creation, fiction, if you will. So they're the ones that have the burden of proof. They're the ones that have to decide or have to prove that God does not exist, and they can't do that, and they know it. So again, when anybody asks you, well, you say, I'm a Christian, well, why is there evil in the world? The proper response is, who cares? And if they say, well, I care, then the response is, why? Again, you got to put the pressure on them. You got to make give them the burden of proof. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, on Liz Wheeler's account on Instagram, Bill Gates.
We should have free speech, but if you're inciting violence, if you're causing people not to take vaccines, where are those boundaries that even the U.S. Should, have rules? And then if you have rules, What is it? Is there some AI that encodes those rules because you have billions of activity and, if you catch it a day later, the harm is done.
He is an absolute diabolical creep.
Anyway, so that was him, and followed by a little, blurb from what's her name. But what she doesn't understand, nobody understands except me, and that's why I'm the true conservative, is what he's doing here. What he's doing is he is starting from scratch. He is pretending that there's no limits to free speech in the United States of America. He talks about should having. And also, if you get to see the video of him, his eyes get very shifty when he talks about this. So you know that he's lying about this, that he knows that there's boundaries. And the boundaries is civil law. If I say something that causes harm to somebody else, it's called negligence. Negligence is a tort. And I'm liable, as is everyone, for their torts, for my torts, and everyone else is liable for their torts. Okay, so I can be taken into court, and I can be forced to make somebody whole if I've damaged them recklessly, irresponsibly, or even deliberately. And he knows that. But the trick here is to try to pretend that there are no limits. And now he wants to talk about what should the limits be. Don't be fooled. We already have limits. So if somebody tries this argument with you, you simply say, hey, we already have limits. It's called the civil justice system. If I say something that damages somebody else, I can be sued. And you know that. That's the way to handle it. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, Chapter 12, The Power of Storytelling from the 13 Forgotten Mind Control Secrets.
Chapter 12, The Power of Storytelling. Storytelling encompasses the narrative process of conveying experiences, emotions, and information through structured stories. Fundamental to human communication, storytelling influences various psychological processes. When it comes to influencing or controlling people's thoughts and behaviors, storytelling is one of the most powerful tools, as it involves using narrative techniques to convey messages and sway opinions. Persuasive storytelling is about engaging your audience emotionally, making information more memorable and impactful. In human communication, stories are powerful for facilitating understanding. Storytelling is beyond mere narration. It's central to influence and persuasion. In this chapter, embarking on the power of storytelling will open your eyes to a world where narratives are not merely tales, but instruments in shaping perceptions and guiding beliefs. First, we'll look at the architecture of persuasive stories. You'll discover the best elements for captivating minds and reshaping perspectives through compelling narratives. Then, we'll discuss symbolism. This chapter will show you how metaphors can act as bridges between concepts to subtly embed ideas into your target's psyche. The stories we tell have the power to shape the very fabric of our understanding. Prepare to understand storytelling as an art form and a psychological force for molding perceptions, controlling beliefs, and influencing behavior. Crafting compelling narratives. The emotions embedded in a persuasive story are very powerful forces. Emotions are the catalysts that drive decision-making, and a well-crafted narrative can evoke specific emotions. Whether it's joy, sadness, fear, or hope, the emotional resonance lingers, shaping the listener's perception. Beyond emotions, storytelling also influences belief systems. Narratives can introduce new perspectives, challenge preconceived notions, and shape how individuals interpret the world. You guide the listener toward a specific viewpoint by aligning the narrative with your covert persuasion goals. This triggers subtle shifts in their beliefs. In covert persuasion, a compelling narrative becomes a Trojan horse of influence. Disguised as a simple story, it slips past the listener's defenses, embedding itself into their consciousness. The seamless integration of persuasion within the narrative makes it an effective vehicle for conveying ideas without triggering resistance. Consider, for instance, a story that subtly reinforces the benefits of a particular product or ideology. As the listener becomes engrossed in the characters and plot, the persuasive elements slip under the radar, planting seeds of influence. The power lies in the explicit message and the subtleties that shape the listener's perception. Crafting a compelling story for persuasion involves delicately balancing creativity, psychology, and strategic intent. Here are practical tips to guide you in creating narratives that seamlessly blend persuasion with engagement. Know your audience. Understand your audience's demographics, interests, and values. Tailor your story to resonate with their experiences and aspirations. A story that aligns with the listener's worldview is more likely to captivate and persuade. Establish a connection. Begin your narrative with relatable elements that create an immediate connection. Introduce characters or situations that mirror the listener's reality to evoke empathy and engagement. Create tension and resolution. Construct a plot that introduces conflict or challenges. Tension captures attention, and the resolution provides a satisfying conclusion. The emotional roller coaster enhances the impact of the story, making it memorable. Use vivid imagery. Paint a vivid picture with descriptive language. Engaging the listener's senses allows them to visualize the scenes and immerse themselves in the narrative. Vivid imagery enhances the emotional impact of the story. Appeal to emotions. Leverage the emotional power of storytelling. Whether it's joy, nostalgia, fear, or hope, align the emotional tone with your persuasion goals. Emotional resonance deepens the connection and influences the listener's response. Incorporate universal themes. Add universal themes that resonate across cultures and backgrounds. Stories that tap into fundamental human experiences create a broader appeal and are more likely to influence diverse audiences. Integrate persuasive elements naturally. Avoid overt or forced persuasion. Persuasive storytelling is meant to be covert, so find ways to seamlessly integrate persuasive elements into the narrative. Characters or situations can subtly embody the ideas or values you aim to convey, allowing the persuasion to happen organically. Maintain consistency. Ensure consistency in the story's tone, style, and message. A cohesive narrative enhances clarity and reinforces the key points, making it easier for the listener to internalize the intended message. Create memorable characters. Develop characters that leave a lasting impression. Memorable characters are relatable and dynamic and evoke strong emotions. Listeners are more likely to be influenced if they connect with the characters. Craft a compelling resolution. The resolution should reflect your persuasion goals, whether it's a call to action, a shift in perspective, or the reinforcement of specific values. Ensure that the resolution aligns with the intended impact. Test and refine. Share your narrative with diverse individuals to gather feedback. Understand how different audiences interpret the story and be open to refining it based on their responses. Example 1. Imagine you're advocating for a conservation initiative. Craft a story about a community that transformed a neglected park into a vibrant, eco-friendly space. Introduce characters like Sarah, a dedicated volunteer, and Mr. Johnson, an elderly resident who initially opposed the project. Describe the park's metamorphosis with vivid details. Native plants thriving, children playing, and neighbors gathering. The tension arises when Mr. Johnson confronts Sarah, who is concerned about the changes. The resolution unfolds as Sarah patiently explains the benefits: a cleaner environment, increased property values, and a sense of community pride. The story covertly incorporates persuasive elements about the importance of conservation and community involvement. Example 2. Now, let's explore a business context. Craft a narrative about a struggling company that revitalized its operations to persuade a team to adopt a new work methodology. Introduce characters like Emma, a forward-thinking leader, and Mark, a skeptical team member. Describe the challenges faced by the company, emphasizing Mark's initial resistance. The plot thickens as Emma introduces the new methodology, illustrating its positive impact on efficiency and team collaboration. The resolution comes when Mark, seeing the positive changes, advocates for the new approach. This story not only engages the team emotionally, but subtly influences them to consider the benefits of the proposed methodology. Example 3. Consider a scenario where you're encouraging friends to participate in a local charity event. Craft a story about a previous year's event featuring characters like Alex, a passionate volunteer, and Lisa, who is initially hesitant to get involved. Describe the event's atmosphere, its impact on the community, and the personal growth experienced by those who volunteered. Create tension as Lisa expresses doubt about her ability to contribute. The resolution unfolds as Alex shares heartfelt stories of personal fulfillment and the event's positive impact on the community. By the story's end, Lisa is convinced to participate and becomes an enthusiastic advocate for the cause. This narrative intertwines the persuasive message about the importance of community involvement with relatable characters and emotional engagement, subtly influencing your friends to join the cause. The narratives engage listeners through relatable characters, vivid imagery, and emotional resonance in these examples. The persuasive elements are seamlessly integrated into the storyline, allowing the audience to connect with the message without overt manipulation tactics. Crafting compelling narratives in this way increases your audience's likelihood of internalizing and embracing the underlying message. Keep in mind that the art of persuasive storytelling involves finesse and subtlety. The goal is not to force an idea upon the listener, but to guide them toward a natural acceptance or consideration of the intended message. Craft your narratives with intention and let the power of storytelling work its influence. Using metaphors for subversive influence. Individuals deft at covert persuasion may exploit metaphors by manipulating the emotional impact. They leverage shared cultural references to subtly influence perceptions. They also craft metaphors designed to trigger specific emotional responses, playing on vulnerabilities for their gain. You can reinforce preconceived notions and make your influence more potent by selecting metaphors that align with existing biases. Also, using vivid imagery creates false narratives, leading your audience to draw misguided conclusions that serve your agenda. In essence, you can weaponize metaphors and turn them into a tool for subversive influence. As someone aiming for subversive influence, you might exploit metaphors in various ways. Emotional manipulation. Imagine you describing a challenging situation as a storm of adversity. This metaphor conveys difficulty and subtly implies that you are a guiding force, providing shelter. It emotionally influences individuals to seek protection and guidance from you. Reinforcing biases. You might use metaphors like separating the wheat from the chaff to describe decision-making processes. This seemingly innocuous metaphor reinforces the idea of categorizing people into valuable and worthless, subtly influencing biased judgments. Misdirection and concealment. Describing a controversial decision as navigating uncharted waters creates a metaphorical ambiguity that masks your true intentions. It diverts attention from the core issue, making it challenging for others to grasp your motives. Identity manipulation. You could use metaphors like planting the seeds of change to suggest positive transformation. This metaphor manipulates individuals into associating their personal growth with your influence, subtly altering their identity. Culture manipulation. Exploiting metaphors deeply rooted in cultural symbols, you might frame a controversial idea as nurturing the cultural flame. You gain acceptance and support by aligning your agenda with cherished symbols without overtly expressing your motives. Creating fear and control. Describing a competitive scenario as a jungle of rivals evokes a sense of danger. You imply that they are the protective guide in this metaphorical jungle. This leads to dependency and fear among individuals who may feel vulnerable. Building dependency. You may use metaphors like the anchor in the storm when describing your role in a group. This fosters dependency by suggesting that without your influence, chaos would ensue, creating a subtle sense of reliance. In these examples, metaphors become powerful tools for you to shape perceptions, emotions, and decisions covertly.
And that was 13 Forgotten Mind Control Secrets by Ronald Gill, Chapter 12. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now about 10 minutes of Trump supporters.
Hey, let's just keep it real, man. The only reason why you're not voting for Donald Trump is because you think he's racist. But I'm pretty sure if you did your own research, man, and actually looked some shit up with Donald Trump interacting with black folks, you would think differently. See, your ass keep falling for that race bait shit. That's how they keep getting your ass. It's a Democratic trick. But you ain't smart enough to see that shit. You keep falling for the same old okie doke with your dumb ass. Mind you, the Democratic Party is what separated black families. Haven't you noticed they always do the same shit? They go get rappers, they go to black churches, they do all this black shit when it's time to vote. It also was the party that started the Ku Klux Klan. It also was the party that incarcerated millions of black men. So they be like, why you ain't voting for Camilla? She black, you black, goddamn. What you? I'm like, first of all, I'm 100% black. I ain't mixed with nothing but black and blacker. I don't know what the fuck she is, but that's an imposter. That's an intruder. And I'm saying what I'm saying because I keep seeing the same play. Every 4 years it's the same. Pander to black folks, make them think we love them, manipulate their minds so we can get their votes. It's very easy. I remember Hillary Clinton said one time, I keep hot sauce in my pocketbook. I was like, oh, hell no. Let's not forget about Joe Biden. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. You ain't black. What the fuck? Now we got Kamala Harris. She cooking greens in a motherfucking tub, bitch. What the fuck is you doing? That never happens in black people's house. It just never happens. So I fuck with Trump because Trump is a gangster. Trump is a businessman. Trump is a man who's made mistakes. Trump is a motherfucking proud American. And how can you not go for a motherfucker that's gonna ride or die for this motherfucking country with your dumb ass?
Apparently, Trump is the new Martin Luther King, the white version. Apparently, they want him gone that bad. Why if a person is no good? Why if they have already sued him for almost $90 million? Why if they have blasted his name out here on the street? Why are they still trying to kill this man? Y'all got to stop and think. It's like the Martin Luther King Day. It's the government that's setting this up to try to kill him. You know why? You know what a woman said? She said, after $90 million, you mean to tell me Trump haven't shut up yet? They're trying to shut the man up because he's revealing all of the things that is exposing the enemy. Y'all better wake up.
Close the door, bro. My boy pulled up on me, slid through here. What you think about Trump, baby?
You know what, though? I'm going to be honest, though. Camilla Harris, that motherfucker there, you tried to deny black people and you even motherfucking sentenced them to death. But I'm going to let y'all know. And I'm live in Fort Myers, Florida, and I'm letting you know. Hey, Trump, I even saluted you when you had your son graduating. I'm going to let you know. Them motherfuckers, they going to try to get you, dog. They going to try to get you. And I already had called that. I said, before they let you be the president again, brother, they going to try to get your ass. But I'm telling you, though, even your own inside group, like the movie Air Force One, you better motherfucking watch yourself, dog. G shit. I'm there running it, and I'm telling you like it is.
I know a lot of y'all may not agree with this, but in my opinion, Donald Trump is literally the chosen one, okay? When God is for you, nothing and nobody can come against you, which is why this man is still standing. These people have literally tried to do everything in their power to take him down, and nothing is working. It's very ironic how they literally said that Donald Trump was a danger to democracy, but yet his life has been in danger throughout this entire presidential campaign, okay? Y'all, they have literally lied on him. They censored him. They tried to arrest him. They tried to indict him. They tried to assassinate his character as well as assassinate him, not once but twice, and yet he is still standing, okay? When I say that God is in everything and he is literally in the business of saving Donald Trump so that Donald Trump can save America, please take heed to what it is I'm saying. Y'all, this is not your average presidential election, okay? So please make sure that you vote accordingly, all right? Donald Trump do not align with the ways of the wicked Democrats, whether you want to believe it or not, which is why they're trying so bad and doing so much, y'all, to make sure that this man do not make it to the presidential election.
I don't get it. That's why I reached out to Trump. I wanted to just say, listen, I'm really sorry that this is going on and it's being dealt with this way. Not because I'm in favor of his politics or what he says. I criticize him all the time. That's my job. And he deserves it. But he doesn't deserve this. A guy pointing an AK-47 at him while he's playing golf? And we take solace in the fact that the guy didn't get any rounds off. If I had been through what that guy's been through in the last 2 months, you would not know where I am. You would never see me on TV again. No way I would do that. I don't know how he does it. He's got kids, they're adults, but he's got grandkids. He's got a wife. People giving crap to Melania Trump, worrying about whether or not there was a plot around his husband. How could she not? People mock her. And then her husband has a guy pointed with an AK-47. Where are those people apologizing? That's what it's time for. We are playing a dangerous game with ourselves. He is not a despot in waiting. Okay? I don't buy it. You gotta care when somebody tries to kill somebody. I've told you this before, and I've learned the lesson so many times myself around the world. Either you care when anyone is hurt, or you'll never really care about anyone being hurt.
Thank you. And now, Donald Trump.
Your instincts, you have to follow your gut. You have to.
In life, in order to be successful, and you people are well on the road to success, you have to find out what makes you excited, what makes you want to get up each morning and go to work. You have to find it. I was no different when I was 20 years old, believe me. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to get out of Brooklyn. I said, Pop, I love you, but I want to get out of Brooklyn. I love Brooklyn, but I want to get out. And I'd see those big buildings, those big skyscrapers in Manhattan. I said, Pop, that's what I want to do. That's what I wanted to do. I love taking things and fixing, taking things and building. I love building. You can do anything. You can be anything you want to be. But in order to succeed, you must find out what you love to do. You have to find your passion, no matter what they tell you. They said, there is no path to victory for Donald Trump. They forgot about the forgotten people. By the way, they're not forgetting about the forgotten people anymore. They're going crazy trying to figure it out. But I told them, far too late. It's far too late. You have to have an ability to handle pressure. Because no matter how successful you are, I have many, many friends and enemies, a lot of enemies too, I don't care. And people that can handle pressure can be entrepreneurs, can be successful. Now, I have
some friends that are really, really smart, but they can't handle pressure. In which case, they should work for somebody, do great, and have a good life. There's nothing wrong with it. And if you can't handle pressure, you have to know that about yourself. You have to know that about yourself. So, handle pressure. If you can't, that's okay. Some people, they say, I've got to be successful. I've got to be. They'll never be successful. It's too crazy. They can't think straight. You have to remember, it doesn't matter. God matters. Your family matters. You've got to be able to sort of say to yourself, nothing matters that much other than the real big deals.
I used to love going to Sunday school. People don't know this about Trump. They think, oh, Trump. But the truth is, I went to Sunday school. And I loved going to Sunday school. And I did for years. And I learned a lot. And I learned about God. And that was probably the greatest thing I've ever learned. Forget all the business stuff. Never cease to be proud of who you are and the principles you hold dear and stand by. Wear your values as your badge of honor. Go out, have a great time in life, compete, remember your duty, honor your history, take care of the people God put into your life. And if you refuse to give in to doubt or to fear, and you will win, and help people in doing so. If you love what you do and dedicate yourself to your work, then you will gain momentum. And look, you have to. You need the word momentum. You will gain that momentum. And each success will create another success. I'll tell you a story that's very interesting for me. When I was young, there was a man named William Levitt, and he was a very successful man. And he built homes, and at night he'd go to these major sites with teams of people, and he'd scour the sites for nails and sawdust, and they'd clean the sites so when the workers came in the next morning, the sites would be spotless and clean. And he did it properly. And he did this for 20 years, and then he was offered a lot of money for his company. And he sold his company for a tremendous amount of money. And he went out and bought a big yacht. And the company that bought his company was a big conglomerate. And they didn't know anything about building homes, and they didn't know anything about picking up the nails and the sawdust and selling it and the scraps of wood. This was a big conglomerate based in New York City. And after about a 10-year period, they were losing a lot with it. So they called William Levitt up, and they said, would you like to buy back your company? And he said, yes, I would. He so badly wanted. He got bored with this life of yachts and sailing and all of the things he did in the south of France and other places. He bought back his company, and he bought back a lot of empty land. And he worked hard on getting it zoning, and he worked hard on starting to develop. And in the end, he failed, and he failed badly. Lost all of his money. He went personally bankrupt. And I saw him at a cocktail party. And it was very sad because the hottest people in New York were at this party. And I see, sitting in the corner, was a little old man who was all by himself. Nobody was talking to him. I immediately recognized that that man was the once great William Levitt of Levittown. And he explained what was happening and how bad it's been and how hard it's been. And I said, what exactly happened? Why did this happen to you? And he said, Donald, I lost my momentum. A word you never hear when you're talking about success. When some of these guys that never made 10 cents, they're on television giving you things about how you're going to be successful. And the only thing they ever did was a book and a tape. It was very sad, and I never forgot that moment. And I thought about it. And it's exactly true. He lost his momentum. In life, I always tell this to people, you have to know whether or not you continue to have the momentum. And if you don't have it, that's okay. because you're going to go on and you're going to learn and you're going to do things that are great. But you have to know about the word momentum.
Always have passion. You've got to have passion for your family, for your life, for your church, for whatever it is. You've got to have that passion. You've got to just love it. I would always say to people, and I'd see people, and I'd say, you got to love what you do. Because, if you love what you do, you work harder. And I've seen so many instances where people with great talent went into things that they didn't love, and they failed. I've seen people that are super genius, but they don't have that gut feeling. They don't have that stick-to-itiveness, that never quit. And I've seen people that almost made it and failed because they couldn't go that extra mile.
But when you do something that you love, you'll never fail. What you're going to do is give it a shot again and again and again. You're ultimately going to be successful. And remember this, you're not working. When you do something that you love, remember this, it's not work. So you'll work 24/7. You're going to work all the time. And at the end of a year, you're not really working. You don't think of it as work. When you're not doing something that you like, that's called work. And it's hard work and tedious work. So as much as you can, do something that you love, work hard, and never, ever give up. And you're going to be tremendously successful. Tremendously successful. Work.
This is Ron, your host, the only true conservative in the United States today, bidding adios to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there, and reminding you that you are not neutral and that the government has no rights.